Alright, and welcome back to the forecast card. Unfortunately, pretty shitty day, 2-5 against the spread. I think the total looks a lot worse than the games actually were. A lot of them are really close, but just going to talk through them. Louisville, they just got outclassed that game. I really expected this game to come down to if whether or not Kalkbrenner could dominate the paint, but he wasn't even the problem this game. Neal just went crazy. Put up 29 points, 12 rebounds, 6 assists. He hasn't really done nearly this much for Creighton over the last few games, so he kind of came out of nowhere, showed up big time. Louisville held their own, but it's going to be tough to win when you give up 89 points to a Creighton team that just shot the three ball extremely well. McNeese, they ended up winning this game outright. Almost threw the game away, honestly. I was kind of worried the game was about to go to overtime, where McNeese was going to get shit on, but luckily Clemson did not lock in until it was way too late. McNeese ends up winning this game by 2. Zaga, the lock of the day, does come through pretty sweat-free. They came out of the gates red hot, and they kind of just maintained that lead throughout the game. Some points you could see Georgia, starting to get a few shots in, but Gonzaga ends up winning this game by 21. Very dominant performance from them. Tennessee minus 18. On paper, this probably should have been a push. They were up 18 with 30 seconds left, and of course, Wolford hits a 3. Their first 3 in 8 minutes, mind you. At the very end of the game, a meaningless 3. Could have just walked it off, but of course, they shoot the 3 to backdoor the spread. Tennessee only wins by 15. Wofford shot way better than I expected. Again, Tennessee, on paper, the best 3-point defense in college basketball. Somehow, this Wofford team shoots 42%. Tennessee obviously dominated the game in most capacity, but the fact that Wofford was able to shoot so many threes was definitely the problem. There's going to be a very common theory, not even a theory, but like every single game today was decided on 3-ball. Like I don't think there was a single game that was decided off teams shooting well in the paint. Like every single game, it's just decided was who was shooting the 3-ball better. Kind of frustrating. Yale, they end up losing this game by 9. Another game where again they only shoot 38% from 3. Really not that bad, but I expected them to shoot a lot more threes. For some reason, they kept trying to play in the paint, where they just could not shoot the ball nearly as well as they probably could have if they just kept draining threes. They make 3 threes. Texas A&M makes 6. But this game basically came down to rebounds, turnovers. Again, Yale putting up 71 covers most of the time. It's very rare that you see Texas A&M put up 80 points in a game against a top 100 team. So, kind of shitty that their offense was cooking a bit today. Sucks. That one was hooked. Tennessee was backdoored. Utah State, game looked close for a little bit, but this was just the epitome of one team could hit their threes. Utah State shot 4 for 31, 13% from 3. UCLA shot 42%. They made 6 more 3-pointers on 7 fewer attempts. Rebounds were pretty much even. UCLA dominated in assists. They had a bunch of blocks. Utah State just got completely outclassed. The Mountain West teams are not performing too hot in this in this tournament. This was a blowout. UCLA completely just trashed them. And of course, Texas Tech, the worst game to end off the day on. Another team. They shot 13 for 46 from 3. They still won this game by 10. So it gives you an idea of if they shot even like 40% from 3 against a pretty bad UNCW 3-point defense, this game is completely different. They shot 65% from the free throw line compared to UNCW shooting almost 90%. This game kind of pissed me off. Texas Tech, I think at one point they're almost up like 25 points or something, and then they give up a 15-4 run to end the game, only being up 4 points. Then to start the half, they were slow. They finally picked it up in the final 5 minutes, but it was too late. So that game fucking sucked. Anyway, all these games sucked, man. Texas Tech was basically winning by, 13 at the end of the game. I got until a last-minute shot from UNCW. Utah State kept it close, got shit on in the second half. Yale lost by 9. Tennessee got backdoored, and Louisville just got outclassed. That was just a bad pick for me. Honestly, something I didn't really consider is the fact that Louisville plays better on the road. The fact that this was a home game basically for them actually was not a benefit. They don't play well in front of their own crowd for some reason, so not a good handicap for me. And of course, the 4 leans I put in the video all cashed. Purdue, pretty sweat-free. Wisconsin wins by like 18. Drake wins outright, and Michigan 1/2 cashes with ease. So kind of sucks when the games that you were on the fence on all cash, and would have brought us to a positive day if I had bet all 9 of them, or all 11 games going 6-5. But of course I didn't. So let's get into the 7 games I like for tomorrow and my leans as well. All right, heading on to game number 1, we have Vanderbilt versus St. Mary's. Now, I think that you could really argue either side for this game because there are some things that kind of scare me about St. Mary's, but matchup-wise, I think this is a really, really tough matchup here for Vanderbilt. If you look at this Vanderbilt team, offensively, they're not really that great. Yes, they're 35th in offensive efficiency, but they heavily rely on offensive boards and points off steals. And these are 2 things that St. Mary's does incredibly well. They're the number 1 team in college basketball at limiting offensive board percentage. They don't give you very many offensive board opportunities. And they're also elite at not turning the ball over. The 2 things that Vanderbilt does really well, St. Mary's matches up really well defensively. So it's going to be tough for Vanderbilt to find points here. Vanderbilt, they also like to take a good chunk of threes. St. Mary's top 5 3-point defense. They like to shoot a lot in the paint. St. Mary's top 10 near basket defense. And again, Vanderbilt on paper really isn't that good at shooting the ball. They do typically just rely on getting those offensive boards to get their offense going. And St. Mary's also doesn't foul a lot, so that's going to be a tough problem for them. If you look at the other side, St. Mary's, not necessarily known to be an offensive powerhouse, definitely a defensive-focused team, but again, Vanderbilt's not that good of a defensive team. We're 265th in 3-point defense, not even top 100 in mid-range defense, barely better than them in the paint, 87 to 95th. Again, they're elite at not turning the ball over, but that's not how St. Mary's plays anyway. They don't really try to force turnovers. They kind of just force you to kind of take bad shots. And on the offensive board, St. Mary's is going to have a bit of an advantage on the offensive side. St. Mary's is one of the best teams in college basketball on the road, despite the fact that they are 1-5 in neutral games. I'm not necessarily too concerned because of how small of a sample size it is. They had their 1 loss to Gonzaga, which was a double revenge spot for Gonzaga, and they kind of had to win that game. And again, we saw what Gonzaga just did. They're clearly an elite team, and they lost or didn't cover, but they played a pretty meaningless November tournament. Didn't seem like they really cared much for that tournament anyway. But yeah, on that tournament, they still kind of dominated. They beat USC by like 45 points. They beat Nebraska by 3. They beat Pepperdine by 15. The team that ended up beating St. Mary's. So Vanderbilt ended off the year with a really shitty games. They lost to Texas in the tournament. They lost to Georgia by 11. Lost to Arkansas by 13. At home, they beat Missouri. Beat Texas and Mississippi. Before that, they lost to Kentucky, Tennessee, Auburn. Beat Texas, lost to Florida, lost to Oklahoma. They're a very inconsistent team. They started off the year pretty hot, but they've gone kind of cold. Meanwhile, St. Mary's has won 8 of their last 9. Obviously, the competition they're playing is not necessarily nearly as hard as a team coming out of the SEC, like Vanderbilt, but I think this is a nightmare matchup here for St. Mary's, or for Vanderbilt. I think this game is really low scoring to the end. I think St. Mary's ends up just kind of pulling away very slowly, just through some offensive boards here and there, completely, shutting down this Vanderbilt offense. So, again, St. Mary's, their team led by 3 scorers. 2 of them are seniors. 1 of them is a sophomore. Vanderbilt, all 3 are juniors. They have no experience in this tournament, and I think this is going to be a spot here where St. Mary's age is going to be a big factor in making them stay relaxed and composed, even if Vanderbilt ever goes on a few runs. So, yeah, give me St. Mary's here, -4. That would be my favorite game and the lock of the day. All right, heading on to game number 2, we have Maryland versus Grand Canyon. I'm honestly projecting that this is going to be a very public dog. I think Grand Canyon is a team that's quite talented, don't get me wrong. But in terms of models, I do have this game modeled pretty much as like a 17-point win for Maryland, which is, out of all the games I have modeled, this is the game where I consider myself to have the biggest edge. Obviously, we've seen in this tournament dogs either win outright or completely dominate. There haven't been really too many close games, which is kind of my concern, because I do think we'll notice right away if Maryland's going to cover this game to see how they kind of match up against the physicality of Grand Canyon. But Grand Canyon, yeah, they have some decent point guards, but again, Maryland, seventh best defense in college basketball. Grand Canyon is really not that great of an offensive team. If you look at what they do, they like to shoot a lot in the paint. They're not even that good on the paint. They're ranked 160th in near basket percentage. They're going to be up against a Maryland team, top 25 in near basket defense. They shoot a decent amount of threes. Maryland top 25 in 3-point defense. Maryland does not foul you. They do not turn the ball over. They're one of the most balanced offenses in college basketball. They do everything decently well. They don't give you a lot of chances on the offensive glass. I just don't see where Grand Canyon's going to be able to score easily against the size that Maryland has. Again, Grand Canyon, they're coming out of the WAC, pretty weak conference. Their strength of schedule is significantly weaker than Maryland, and their offensive stats are still this bad. It's kind of a little bit concerning, even when you normalize them. Maryland on the other side, Grand Canyon, pretty solid defense in the paint, decent mid-range defense, but Maryland's the second best three-point shooting team in college basketball. They don't really shoot the three that much, but they're going to find a lot of success here against the Grand Canyon team ranked outside of the top 150 in three-point defense. Maryland top 30 in points off steals against a Grand Canyon team that turns the ball over a ton. They're going to have a lot of success on the offensive glass, and they're going to have a ton of putbacks this game. I don't think Grand Canyon is going to be able to stop them. I think the strategy of this game is going to be Maryland is going to stretch the floor with their bigs. They're going to shoot up threes, and they're going to do pick and rolls, get threes off, and then dominate the paint to get putbacks and offensive boards where they're probably going to get fouled a bit here, where they're a top 50 free throw shooting team. So yeah, I don't know. I don't think Grand Canyon is really that good of a team. I understand they have talent. I think this is going to be a really fast-paced, fun game to watch. But I truly am not really sold. I think this is a Maryland team that has had some mediocre performances in the past. This is a team I think they have a lot of success with. Maryland due for a lot less regression than this Grand Canyon team, which is quite surprising considering, the conference that Grand Canyon is coming out of. Both these teams. Maryland coming off a bit of a heartbreak loss to Michigan. I think they're going to come into this tournament extremely motivated because that game was really frustrating for them. Grand Canyon, they won their tournament, but who'd they beat? They beat Cal Baptist, UT Arlington, Utah Valley. I don't even know if they had to play a top 100 team. The best team they've played this year was Georgia, where they lost by 5. They played Arizona State, where they lost by 11. Who else did they play? They beat Stanford, but that was on a neutral court. Stanford sucks outside of their home court. They won that game by 7. Again, all of their massive wins come at home. I don't think they're going to have as much success here against a Maryland team that has been completely rolling teams way, way better than Grand Canyon. The site I typically use for power rankings isn't working right now, but I think both these teams are healthy. I just don't see. I think Grand Canyon's going to have to shoot insanely well here to keep up with Maryland. Obviously, it's possible. We've seen dogs shoot well, but I think Maryland is just way too complete of a team here. And they're going to come into this tournament extremely motivated. So give me Maryland. I think this game is close at half, and then they pull away in the second half, winning this game by like 15, 16 points. All right, heading on to game number 3. Now, on paper, I fucking hate this pick because Marquette, they've been on my ban list. They've never passed the eye test for me. But they are absolutely analytical sweethearts. On paper, they should dominate this matchup. They're a team that, is an elite defense team. They are going to have a ton of success forcing turnovers. They played, obviously, in the Big East much harder than the Mountain West. We've seen how poorly Mountain West teams have been performing in this tournament already. Obviously, Marquette, offensively, pretty solid team. Top 30 in offensive efficiency. They're a pretty solid mid-range team. Decent near basket team. Definitely a better team than New Mexico, who kind of relies a bit on the pit, I think, to win games. If you look at this, New Mexico team, they're really not that good offensively. They're not top 100 in anything. You got the Marquette team that's top 25 in three-point defense, top 25 in mid-range defense, top 70 in near basket defense. They do not turn the ball over, top 20 in limiting turnovers, top 35 in limiting glass. New Mexico may get to the free throw line a little bit, but they're not a good free throw shooting team, 68%. And again, I think New Mexico plays at an extremely fast pace, and that's going to be a tough thing to do against a Marquette team that, is going to try to slow the game down a little bit and force you to turn the ball over, not allow you too many free points in transition. So, yeah, I think Marquette covers this number. Obviously, who knows what's going to happen with this Marquette team, but I think they're better coached. I think this is a tougher spot here for New Mexico. Give me Marquette here to cover this -3.5 number. All right, and we continue to roll with my favorite team here that I love to make a potential run here is Xavier. I do think they're an elite team. I think they're going to ride the momentum. They got the first game monkey off their back. They had an extremely bad first half against Texas. They locked back in. I think they're going to ride off that momentum here in this game. Illinois, obviously a pretty solid team, especially defensively. They're a team that's probably going to find success in the paint. But again, Xavier team, they don't foul a lot. They don't turn the ball over a ton. They're pretty good on their own glass. Pretty solid mid-range defense, three-point defense, top 100 paint defense. Obviously, Illinois is going to find some success in the paint. Don't get me wrong. But all the momentum here sits, in my opinion, with Xavier. They're a very consistent team. They have a lot of weapons, and I think if they can hit their threes this game, which is a big ask, the way that this tournament has been going, but I think they're going to have a really good matchup outside the arc. Illinois turns the ball over a ton more than Xavier does, and they should have a few extra possessions there. And they are a really elite free throw shooting team if the game comes down to the wire. So I think this game is going to be one possession game. I think it's going to come down to a buzzer beater winner tie. I think Xavier has the talent here to keep it close with Illinois. I also like the over a lot in this matchup. All right, now we get into the disgusting game. So I actually hate taking dogs in this tournament. I understand the logic, but at least some of these teams have just been blowing out like teams that I think have statistical advantages, but some conferences are just so hard to compare talent against. Obviously, the Big Ten, one of the better conferences, not nearly as good as some of the other conferences this year. I think the Big Ten has been better in the past, but I like this matchup here for Liberty. Again, this is why I'm concerned, because Liberty is again a team that relies on hitting threes, but they're one of the best three-point shooting teams in college basketball, third best in three-point percentage. Up against an Oregon team, which I think they match up decently well against. I have this model as a 4-point win for Oregon. Obviously, they have the coaching edge. A coach that's never made it, has never lost in the first round before. I think Oregon is going to find some success shooting. They're going to struggle a lot from three. They're not really going to get a lot of points off turnovers. They're not going to get a lot of free throws. But I do think this is a Liberty team that can stick around. Obviously, Conference USA not nearly as tough of a conference as this Liberty team, but I think Biddle is kind of their whole team reminds you a lot of the Purdue team that lost to the 16 seed. A lot of heavy reliance on Biddle in the paint to do stuff, and if they can figure out a way to contain him, like Fairleigh Dickinson did, where they were like basically triple teaming them and forcing Oregon to take 3-pointers that they're not very good at. I think this is a game that Liberty can keep it really close. They're a very good defensive team, a solid road team this year. I really do love the spot for them. They're going to be riding a good chunk of momentum coming into this game. Let me pull up their travel spot here. Again, this is going to be a massive road spot here for this Liberty team. 2,000 miles away from home, but if you look at this Liberty team, they've won 4 games traveling over 1,500 miles against McNeese, UTEP, New Mexico State, and Seattle. This team really shows up when they're playing really far away from home. Oregon obviously pretty solid playing close to home as well, but none of those games have been big blowouts. They won by 7 over Washington, 3 against Oregon State, and 15 over Stanford, which I guess is a bit of a blowout. But yeah, man, I really like this Liberty team. I like what they do. I think they're talented. I don't fully know what you're going to get from this Oregon team. They're very inconsistent. Sometimes they're elite, sometimes they're dog shit. I think we saw that throughout the year. Obviously, they ended on a really high note, winning 8 in a row until they lost their last tournament game against Michigan State. But before that, they lost 5 games in a row. And I think this is going to be a big come-up spot for them. Liberty going to be riding this momentum of winning their tournament. I think they can keep this game relatively close. I think Liberty's going to probably be leading at some points in this game, and then Oregon's going to go on a really big run. But again, if they can contain Biddle, I I think this could be a really tight game. I don't necessarily think Biddle is that athletic, and this seems like a prime spot here for Liberty. I think they have a chance to win this game outright. All right, heading into game number 6, we have Akron versus Arizona. Now, on paper, Arizona could easily win this game by 30 points. They're obviously the better team, played a much tougher schedule. Akron coming out of the Mid-American compared to Arizona playing in the Big 12. But I think this Akron offense, it's still good, you know? I think they have the ability to keep this game close. 14.5 is a big number for an offense that can put up, 100 points on any night. Obviously, Arizona, one of the better defensive teams, but they're much better of an offensive team. And I think both these teams are going to be shooting the ball a ton, back and forth. Akron really not that bad of a paint defense, somewhere where Arizona shoots a lot. And Arizona, obviously, the better team, played a harder schedule, but I don't know. I think this is going to be a back and forth shooting game. I think the defense is going to be lacking because players are going to be tired, having to run up and down the court all like nonstop. Akron has shooters, they have scorers, and they have a bit of momentum here coming off the tournament win. So I think if they could shoot the ball decently well, they shoot everything decently well. They decent at forcing turnovers. The solid free throw shooting team. If it ever comes down to that, I don't know. Again, this is a spot here where I can absolutely see Arizona win by 30. But I think Akron's going to be motivated here, and I think they have a chance to keep this game quite close. Game number 2, we have Bryant. I think Bryant matches up okay against Michigan State. This is probably maybe my fake sharp of the day, like a game where I'm overthinking it. But again, Bryant comes out games pretty hot. Michigan State typically plays a lot slower. I think Bryant is a team that can have a good first half. And Michigan State obviously locks back in and dominates. But if you look at where Bryant likes to shoot, they're a team that shoots not a lot of threes. They shoot a lot in the mid-range, near basket, where Michigan State typically does give up a few more points. Obviously, Bryant is an elite offensive board team. Michigan State's still pretty good at defending the boards, but I think that Bryant's still going to find some success there. Decent free throw shooting team. They play at a really fast pace, which may be annoying for this Michigan State team that's going to try to slow it down. On the other side, again, this is a very one-dimensional Michigan State team. We know they shoot in the paint and mid-range a lot. I think Bryant has the advantage in the mid-range, the advantage on the 3 defensively, and they're solid paint defense, top 50 paint defense. Obviously, Michigan State's going to have a big advantage on the glass and free throws, but I think in the first half, we're going to see a bit less of an aggressive style gameplay from Michigan State. I think Bryant's going to be running fast-paced right away. Michigan State's going to be a little bit cold. I think Bryant can keep this game within the 10.5 number. I think Michigan State probably wins the first half by like 8 points or something, and then runs away with it in the second half. But I really like this first half bet for Bryant plus 10.5. In terms of leans, which if it goes any way similar to yesterday, I really like this Baylor team. I think they have some of the best guards in college basketball, but again, they're really bad on the offensive boards, and Mississippi State's elite there. So I'm not necessarily wanting to touch this game. I'm not really sure. It's going to be really fun to watch, but I'm not going to bet it. Memphis plus 2. Colorado State, man, they're shooting way too well from 3 to win this game. Obviously, Memphis is going to be missing one of their best players, if not their best player, which is probably why they're underdogs in this spot. But I still think Memphis is the more physical team here. I think Colorado State is going to hit, defense picks up another level in the tournament. And if Colorado State cannot keep shooting threes the way they have been, I think they're going to come to a harsh reality here, where this is a Memphis team that's been here before, and is pretty well established. So I think Memphis has a chance to win that game outright. Florida, I don't want to take such a big number here, but Florida, if they're my favorite to win everything, I think they win this game by 40 points. But the number is a little bit too big. I don't know when they're going to start resting players. I think if they're up by like 25, they're going to start resting players, and I don't think they actually have that elite of a bench. So don't want to touch that game. Troy, I think they match up well against Kentucky, and I think they have a chance to pull an upset here. That being said, though, Kentucky, again, a team that can shoot the ball really well. They don't play any defense. So if they shoot the ball well, they can win this game by 30. But again, I think Troy's going to have a bit of a, going to show up for this game. I think they have a chance here to keep this game in the single digits. And then Oklahoma, I'm just not going to fade UConn in this tournament. I only have this model as a 2-point win for UConn, but this is kind of where the coaching experience comes in against an Oklahoma team that's been pretty underwhelming until the end of the year. They have the elite guard play, but I'm a little bit scared of UConn pulling ahead just from coaching experience. I think it's a close game for a bit. You know, massive coaching adjustments from Hurley that completely shifts the momentum of the game to UConn, where they're able to win that game outright. So, and by a significant, probably double digits. Might end up betting that game, but I'm not going to touch it. Probably look for a better live line. But yeah, those are all the games that I'm betting for tomorrow. Hopefully a better day than the 2-5. Definitely sucks when the leans sweep and you go 2-5 on the main plays, but I'm always happy when the lock comes through because I do know a lot of people only, they only bet the lock at the end of the day, which I don't blame you. But yeah, let's get into to a win streak here. Hopefully we end off on a high note. Again, just try to enjoy the games. Bet responsibly. College basketball is so unpredictable. Sometimes you just gotta throw out the stats out the window, which is kind of my problem. Is I am a very big stat guy, and it's hard for me to fade the numbers that I'm seeing, even if I think the coach is better, the team's better, whatever. And that's maybe where you should take my picks and cross-reference them against some massive college basketball heads like Moneyline Mac, those type of Dan, those type of players that have people have watched the sport for 30 years. So yeah, that's it for everything today. Thanks so much for watching. Appreciate all the support. Hopefully I can have you all a winning day tomorrow, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Cheers.